All right, listen up, y'all.
Greetings, everybody. This is Mr. Abdullah, your resident host and educator with another episode of All Things Education Official, education from a foundational Black American male's perspective. Today, we're going to be discussing the effects of incarceration on youth in our American educational system.
Once these young people have been released and they turn adults, they do not have the tools to survive in the real world. And most of the kids I work with tell me that they think they'll be dead by the age of 25. And sometimes it's true. It's true. But there is a better way. It is clear here that juvenile incarceration doesn't work and is very costly for us taxpayers. So I want you now to imagine, what if we reconsidered the whole juvenile detention center in our communities and we converted them into beautiful, voluntary, residential career training centers with personal development, with the assurance that once these young men turn 18, they do not become a statistic like Demetrius.
You know, I take this thing of incarcerated youth and their return back to the school system personally because I have worked with that population for many, many years. And as much as I have seen, the primary thing I think sticks out the most is that these children are written off the moment they go away to youth facilities, juvenile detention facilities, whichever type that they go to, maybe they may be camps or programs. But oftentimes, the educational staff have written them off. Even though they are going to a corrective institution, they're still in school because they are still children. And when they return, some of them return to us with ankle monitors. Some of them return with increased visitations from parole officers, probation officers, social workers. And I'd like to say that it's important that as a community, we recognize that they have served their debt to society for that particular infraction or crime or whatever it is that they've been accused or it's been alleged. I think that we hold the same standard for them that we hold for adults who've been incarcerated, even because they may have committed adult crimes. The reason why I think this is so important for us to have a discussion about is because there are always going to be children in the public school system who are on their way out of an incarcerated situation or going in. And we can no longer just throw them away because their existence directly impacts the other children who have not been incarcerated. I've had so many instances where children who have gone away and they felt defeated. They felt that there was nothing for them in the particular school. So either they cut up, did very little in the realm of education, or sometimes they just didn't come back at all. According to urban.org, incarcerated youth deserve a quality education. Many don't get one. It states here, we know little about the educational services youth receive in juvenile detention facilities. Although more than 2/3 of incarcerated youth never return to school upon release, educational services in juvenile detention facilities could reverse this trend. Some studies show that youth who participate in these services enroll in school after being discharged and show improvements in reading and math. But simply putting classrooms in juvenile detention facilities is not a perfect solution because education quality varies by facility. What I love so much about the young man or the individual that presented on the TED Talks is that he has a silver lining. He believes that if you create opportunities for these young people that are in incarcerated situations, you can decrease the recidivism rate. They won't return because they'll have something to look forward to. These young people, they went away to juvenile detention facilities. They were incarcerated. They left situations of poverty. Sad to say, some of these people, some of these children that are going away, this is the first time they had a bed to themselves. This is the first time some of them have eaten 3 meals a day. Truly, it's not the best situation, but we've got to consider that these children sometimes are in this situation because they did not learn the proper skills. They weren't mentored in the ways of being a proper adult, a proper child. And because they weren't, they have to just reflect what they've been given. I think that we as educators, we need to step back and say, this child needs more than the average child. And a lot of times we're lazy. We don't want to do the work. If we want to do the work and we feel like they need it, that's when we'll do it. But it needs to be done all the time, not most of the time, not some of the time, all of the time. These are our children, whether they be men, women, children, girl, boy, they need our assistance. And as educators, isn't that what we're charged to do? Aren't we told that we need to educate all that come before us? And if you're not told that, I'm telling you that now. As an educator, if a child has an ankle bracelet, they have parole papers, probationary papers, they have a worker that comes in and wants to get grades from you, they want to get information, it's your job to give that information and give them that extra time. You're going to have to burn the midnight oil. You're going to have to make more phone calls, but they deserve it, because if they had that in the beginning, they probably would not be in that situation today. It's not our fault, but it is our problem as a community. I think that if we don't decide at this point, we're lost as a community. I believe in us. I believe in our children. With all that being said, this is another episode of All Things Education Official. I'm your host, Mr. Abdullah. You are dismissed.